Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm speaking about one of the most important diseases and the group of diseases which are related to skin and whether fasting the holy months of Ramadan can affect them and improve them or not. In order to speak about these big groups, I'll select two main groups. The first group is about diseases which can be improved by fasting the holy months of Ramadan, and therefore fasting in this group of this holy months of Ramadan is a must. To start in this group, I'll speak about the first disease, which is acne vulgaris. Acne vulgaris is one of the most important diseases which affects us during puberty. Of course, it has many relations for its etiological purposes. Its etiology related either hereditary causes, or it may be due to hormonal disturbances, or even it may be to affection by anaerobic bacteria, and so on. This disease affects the skin of girls and boys at the age of puberty and makes two types of dots or spots. The first one are white spots or white comedones, and second is what is known as black spots or black comedones. This disease is very important, and of course this disease is affecting by the food. So when the patient is fasting the whole day of during this Ramadan, and then at the end at breakfast, I'll find the patient when he eats breakfast and devoids fats and fatty oils. Of course, acne vulgaris is affected by food. And in these patients, due to fasting the long time, and also by decreasing the amount of fats and carbohydrates and fatty oils in their meal, of course, they get improvement in their condition. Therefore, in patients with acne vulgaris, fasting the holy months of Ramadan is a must to get improvement in their condition. The second disease to be spoken about is the greasy skin or sebaceous skin. In these patients, we find a great group of patients suffer from greasy or sebaceous skin. And of course, these persons suffer a lot from diseases related to this sebaceous skin. Of course, fasting for a long period, more than 12 hours, and of course, by decreasing the amount of carbohydrates and fats and fatty oils in their meals, during breakfast and during their dinner, of course, these persons will be improved. And therefore, in these sebaceous skins and sebaceous patients, fasting the holy months of Ramadan is a must to get improvement in their skins. The third disease to be spoken about is what is known as eczema, neurotic eczema. Eczema is a disease which affects the skin of persons, which is accompanied by itching and slight redness in their skin. And this eczema is caused by any cause under the sun, even the sun itself. For example, heat can cause eczema, coldness can cause eczema, hotness can cause eczema, itching, pressure, everything can cause eczema. But also food can cause eczema. And during this fasting, the holy moon of Ramadan, in these patients, there is quietness. The patient is calm, the patient is quiet, and therefore the level of adrenaline in blood is less, and the patient suffers decreasing. And accordingly, in these persons who are suffering from neurotic eczema, fasting the holy months of Ramadan will get improvement in their condition. And we have seen many cases which have been improved by just fasting the holy months of Ramadan. The fourth disease to be spoken about is urticaria. Urticaria is one of the most famous skin diseases, which is symptomized the patient by just hot edema and swelling all over the skin. There are large areas with redness, with hotness, and the patient complains from this redness and hotness in certain areas of his skin, and just half an hour or 2 hours, we find that this redness and hotness disappears from the certain area, and starts to appear again in another area all over his body. And this now and then go and come back and so on, affects the skin of the person. And the person complains a lot from itching, from pain, from swelling, from weakness, and so on. This urticaria is due to secretion of certain hormone in blood, which is adrenaline, which affects the circulation of another substance in blood, which is histamine. And it is histamine and other substances such as releasing substance and bradykinin and so on. This group of substances can affect the skin and cause this urticaria. This person, by fasting the holy day of Ramadan, while he is calm, while he is quiet, there is decrease in secretion of adrenaline. And accordingly, there is decrease of secretion of histamine and other substances. And these cases get improvement during this long day of fasting, long day of quietness, and so on. So, dear inspectors, I have said about 4 diseases in which the fasting of the holy month of Ramadan can improve, but there is another group in which we cannot say to the person that you must fast Ramadan. For example, lupus erythematosus, which is an autoimmune disease, affects the body in 2 main groups. The first one is localized lupus erythematosus, which affects the skin in localized area and never affects the inner parts of the body. And another category of lupus erythematosus, which is the systemic lupus erythematosus. This systemic lupus erythematosus is a very serious disease, which can affect the heart, causing heart failure, or can affect the kidney, causing renal failure, or may affect the respiratory muscles and causing their paralysis, or can affect even the neurogenic organs all over the body. This systemic lupus erythematosus is one of the most serious diseases, and the patient must be isolated from light, must be isolated from voice, from noise, and so on, must be kept in the intensive care. So, in cases of systemic lupus erythematosus, the patient is not allowed to fast the holy month of Ramadan because of his critical case. While in case of localized lupus erythematosus, fasting the holy month of Ramadan, of course, will increase the autoimmune battles inside his body, of course, will improve his condition. And so, in localized lupus erythematosus, fasting the whole month of Ramadan is a must to get improvement, while in the systemic lupus erythematosus, fasting is not allowed. Another disease, what is known as pemphigus. Pemphigus is one of the diseases which are rare in Egypt, but they are famous in other countries and famous between Jews. This disease is characterized by presence of pulli and vesicles all over the body, which are very painful. These pulli or vesicles may be in the epidermis, and they are called epidermal pulli, or may be present in subepidermis, and they are called dermal pulli. These pulli, whether dermal or epidermal, these pulli are very serious because the patient get very painful swelling, get very painful condition of his condition. These patients must be kept under close observation, must be hospitalized, must get treatment, and therefore patients who are suffering from pemphigus are not allowed to fast the holy month of Ramadan because of their critical case. Another group of diseases, which are some acute bacterial diseases and even some chronic cases, bacterial cases, cannot allow to fast the holy month of Ramadan. Anyhow, I can summarize and say that there is a group, big group of diseases which get benefit, and fasting the holy month of Ramadan is a must, such as acne vulgaris, such as sebaceous skin, such as urticaria, such as neurotic eczema, such as localized lupus erythematosus, while there is another group of skin diseases which are not allowed to fast the holy month of Ramadan, such as pemphigus, such as systemic lupus erythematosus, and even some acute and chronic bacterial cases. Thank you.